Hello, welcome to my channel, Backwatch to the World. Please subscribe if you're new and don't forget to hit the like button so that you get notification each time I post a new video. Now, what you're seeing here is the entrance to the national park, that is the Mashishon Falls National Park, from Backwatch as you're going towards Masindi. So they are constructing this to be like where the people who check and guard the park sit. That's where you pay from. Originally it has been on the side, but that now the new one there, which is also nice, and it's going to look good with that writing on the top reading Mashishon Falls National Park. So off to Masindi, and as usual you pass through the park, which is the shorter route. Of course they charge you if you have to pass through the park, but it's always worth it, especially if you're driving and you have a private car. It is always very, very, very interesting seeing the animals. There are so many animals in this park, but of course the common one that you can see during the day are the elephants, the buffalo, the giraffe, antelope, deers, warthogs. Those are like at the common. You don't miss them when you're driving. So I always love this drive. Every time I pass through the parks, like for the first time, it is so amazing. The vegetation alone right now, it is very thick because it is rainy season. As you can see far from here, those are buffalo mud bathing. They love soaking in the mud and lying there, but when you stop, they somehow like they feel like they're being infringed. Also they get up and look at you in a fun way, so you're not advised to stay for so long. So when you drive from Backwatch, you go through Para, and then after Para it is Budongo Forest. After Budongo Forest, now that is Masindi. This is where we are going. So I'm in the company of my sister, her husband, and two other occupants, one being a helper, and my little daughter, Andrea. So we're going to Masindi. Masindi is like the next biggest town after Backwatch when you pass through the park. Now, the other route also, it is a park, but it is not controlled, so it's not like people, you can't see the animal, because on one side there are people doing farming, and then across the road it is a national park. But this one here, it is specifically for animals, so no one is allowed to live there. Maybe like those Lions big hotel, you can see these warthogs. They didn't even bother moving as we stopped to watch them. They was very, very close to the road grazing. Those are also another common species. Whenever you're driving, you see them everywhere. So originally this road was just Maram, it wasn't worked on, and then the river ahead, the one we call Albert 9, there was no bridge. So to go through the park, it used to be free. You could just drive, but again, when you reach the river, you have to cross on a ferry. This one you can see, these are another herd of buffalo mud bathing. It is so interesting. The only, because of the vegetation, you can't really see the animals very, unless those big ones like the elephant, the tall giraffes, the buffaloes, and the big cobs and antelopes, which are tall. But these tiny ones, unless they are close at the roadside, you can't really see them. So as I was saying, we used to pay to cross the ferry plus the vehicle, and then a few years later they constructed a bridge, and also they built a new road network, the one we are on right now. Now when that happened, they started charging us to drive through the park. And then because the bridge was now there, it was free, so you didn't need to pay. You can cross over the bridge, but now you have to pay to drive through the park. And this one here was breastfeeding, but as we came close, the mother ran off, but the little one still wanted to breastfeed, which was very, very cute. Yeah, as I told you, I was in the company of my sister, my brother-in-law, my daughter, and a helper. So that was us. This bend now is when you're approaching the Albert Nile. Now, Albert Nile is that stretch from that's where the waters from Lake Albert meets the waters of River Nile, then it creates Albert Nile. And that's where ahead, that's where the falls, the Mashon Falls are. So now this is a bend as you're approaching the bridge to cross into Budongo. Now after this bridge, it is Budongo Forest, which you drive through till you reach the other side of the park, which is the exit where they check to verify if you paid and also if you drove at the minimum speed limit, which is 40 kilometers per hour. Now the reason for that, because they are animals and because the road, as you can see, brand new road, very, very neat. So people are always tempted to drive faster, but because of the limitation, and they can always verify from the time you enter and the time you exit if you've been driving at a terrible speed, and you also find there and then. So now we've left the park, and now this side is the Budongo Forest, but also under means of tourism, also the park. But normally I've never seen any other animal apart from baboon and monkeys. But I've seen some droppings of the elephant. So I think there are some elephant there, but I've never had the chance to see them for the time I've been traveling on this route. But you can see on this side, like the vegetation is very, very thick and closer to the road. That's why it's called Budongo Forest. So this runs from Para, or should I say the Albert Nile, up to Masindi border. And it's always a very, very interesting drive. If you ever come to Uganda, you should try it out. It's always very, very interesting. So now when we exited the national park, of course there are other, you have to check. Then now these are baboons, as you can see. They normally sit on the road, but you have to be careful because they can pop in from nowhere. That's me again, my daughter Andrea, my sister is sleeping at the back, and on this side is the driver, is my in-law. So like I was saying, the baboons normally pop up from nowhere. So if you're on high speed, it's really hard to avoid them, and if you do that, it is an offense. So like I said, now you see that also the same, this side they are constructing another design. This is like the exit, which is the entry on this side. So this is where they check the vehicles to verify that they've paid from the other side. So finally we are now approaching Masindi, and of course we left so early, we needed to stop somewhere on where they have a weekly Sunday market. And I always love these Sunday markets because of the bargain, and the stuff are sold cheap, because these are mostly farmers who bring from their garden up the market. So you find that their prices are fair compared to, like, for people who go and buy and then sell. So yeah, we had a stopover because the other thing also, we had left early and we didn't have breakfast, so we needed to have breakfast. And now in this African market, when you go for a place where they sell food, the breakfast is really a full meal that will surprise you. You will eat, and it's like having a buffet sort of. So yeah, I love sweet bananas because we have the yellow banana, the big ones, and then this tiny one. But I love this tiny one. So I was trying. That's what I was looking for. That's what I had in mind when I came, because I wanted to get them, at least buy some for later as well. Like this lady, unfortunately she didn't have change, because I had a bigger note, and everything, most of the thing we are going for like 1,000 Ugandan shillings, which is less than 30 cents, because a dollar is like 3,800. So you can imagine 1,000. So finally I found a lady who had change, and she told me all those ones like 1,000 each. So I took all the three for 3,000, which is still less than $1. Those three, are they clutches or bunches? I got them for less than $1. So I saw some oranges also, tangerine. I also got those ones also for about, they put a heap for 1,000. Still got 2 heaps, which is still less than $1. So basically, whatever I wanted to buy, I was going for less than $1, and that's really cheap. But of course, if you went into bigger markets like in the city, they would charge you more, like I told, because these ones are farmers. They get from their own garden and they come and sell, so they are not very expensive. Like you see, like they have all cabbages. These are green sukuma wiki, no, tomatoes, onions, sweet potatoes, okra, which is also my favorite. Those purple are called eggplants. Yeah, eggplants. So the market really had everything, that someone could require. Yeah, but of course my sister and Eden had already gone to the restaurant where I was supposed to eat. Now these weekly markets also have restaurants that also operate on the sides of the market. Now these leaves they have good scent. We call them modalasin. I don't know what they are called in English. But when you boil water, you put them in that water with your tea leaves or coffee. They really smell very, very nice. They have good aroma. So I also got myself that for like 500 shillings. Now, 500 shillings is, I don't even know how to say, because I told you 1,000 is like 3/4 of $1. Now you can imagine 500 shillings. Yeah, so after getting myself sweet bananas, oranges, and the tea leaves, I had to take them back and come and join my sister and her husband for breakfast. Now, as you see, it was early morning. This is a meat store where you can buy beef. People are still coming into the market, setting up their stalls, but we're only here for breakfast. So that was the most important thing, and that's what these guys, you can see how, look at this big load he's carrying. I think those should be clothes. That's what I can carry. So yeah, it was time to join my sister and husband. So all those you see on the sides are restaurants. So they just put something, they improvise something. That's where you sit. They had already got their orders, so it was my turn to also give an order. They have a mix of everything. So I ordered. They have matoke. Matoke is food banana that you boil and then squash or press. They had rice. They had sweet potatoes. They had beef. They have pounded peanuts, which is boiled. So it looks like porridge, but it is a sauce. They had chicken. They had beans. Yeah, so now that lady, that is the lady serving us. Now that is their kitchen. That's where they cook from. Although you see those stones, they have like charcoal stoves and firewood as well. So that's where they cook from, and they serve their customers who come to eat. Yeah, so I waited for me. You can see the neighbors also doing the same. They're all lined up along the market, but at the extreme end. Yes, so finally, my meal was here. You can see meat in peanut paste. Yeah, so that was a lovely meal. I enjoyed my meal, and each meal cost us 4,000 shillings. So we were 4, which is equivalent to like 16,000, which is like about $4. Then after, I needed to get a dessert of my favorite, the grasshoppers. We call them ensenene. In English, they are grasshoppers. You get them in the wild, and they appear twice in a year. So I had to buy some, because they are really so nice and rich in protein. Yeah, so that was like my dessert after a heavy meal. Ate that, and we're good to go. So I hope you enjoyed that. See you in the next video. Bye.